Hi everyone, welcome to TLC Pro. Today we uncover a story hidden behind the polished episodes of 1000 LB Sisters. Exclusive to this series, Amy Slaton breaks down over losing custody of her children footage that TLC never revealed to the public. The world knows Amy as half of the beloved duo on the network's hit reality program. From the moment she appeared on screen, she brought viewers laughter, tears, and inspiration as she tried to rebuild her life. Her lighthearted personality, goofy sense of humor, and determination to become healthier, not just for herself but also for the family she dreamed of, drew in fans from the very beginning. Over time, audiences witnessed Amy's highs and lows, her weight loss journey, surgeries, marriage to Michael Helterman, and transition into motherhood. On the surface, it seemed Amy had finally found the happiness she had always been chasing, yet away from the cameras, a devastating storm was quietly forming, one that would shatter her world in ways no supporter could have predicted. The heartbreaking moment when Amy lost custody of her two young sons, Gage and Glenn, was something TLC deliberately kept hidden. Insiders later revealed that the footage from that day was among the most emotional material ever filmed for the show. Executives, however, buried it, fearing the backlash that would come if audiences saw it. On set, Amy sobbed with despair, crying out, "Without my babies, I am nothing." Her voice echoed across the studio as longtime crew members looked on in shock. This was no scripted drama, no manufactured fight meant to raise ratings. It was an unfiltered moment of a mother, ripped away from her children. And yet, fans never saw it. What they were shown instead was the polished version of Amy's life-edited arguments, orchestrated family disputes, and carefully framed milestones. The raw extent of her suffering was withheld. Why? Because this wasn't entertainment. It was tragedy. And TLC wanted to avoid the consequences of exposing how far things had spiraled. The breakdown didn't happen overnight. It came after months, even years, of pressure behind the scenes. What began as a quirky reality show about two sisters from Kentucky trying to lose weight evolved into one of TLC's most successful franchises. Suddenly, Amy's private life was consumed by toxic attention, fame, and money. Every move she made was scrutinized. Every slip-up became tabloid fodder. Week after week, social media and gossip sites dissected her appearance, her body, and her choices. Meanwhile, her marriage to Michael deteriorated under the weight of constant filming, financial stress, and parenting struggles. A relationship that once seemed full of love turned bitter. Fans thought Amy's wish had been fulfilled when she became a mother, but the reality of raising children while living under the spotlight was anything but simple. She battled postpartum struggles, endured criticism from online detractors who accused her of neglect, and faced relentless commentary on her parenting. Even though Amy adored her sons, the world appeared to be waiting for her to fail. Her greatest fear came true when custody issues arose, forcing her to face the pain of being separated from the children who gave her life meaning. On the day cameras captured her collapse, Amy wasn't the confident, witty sister fans thought. They knew. She wasn't the determined mother fighting for a healthier life. She was broken, stripped of identity, clinging desperately to the only thing she loved most, her boys. The crew on set didn't know how to respond. Some were moved to tears, unable to watch her crumble. Others begged producers to stop filming, to give Amy privacy in her worst moment. But the cameras kept rolling. What they captured, according to insiders, may be the most devastating footage in TLC's entire history. The world, however, never got to see it. At the network's highest levels, a decision was made to hide the breakdown. Executives worried that releasing such raw footage would unleash a storm of criticism, not only against the program but also against TLC as a brand. How could they justify exploiting a mother's agony for ratings? How could they continue to frame 1000 LB Sisters as light-hearted entertainment while concealing such darkness? The answer was simple: they couldn't. So the footage was removed, replaced with lighter plots, leaving Amy's suffering hidden behind the curtain. As whispers of the secret video began to spread, fans started to question everything. What really happened to Amy during this period? How did custody battles reach such a heartbreaking point? And why was the audience denied the truth? This wasn't just a storyline in a reality show. It was the story of a mother crushed by family troubles, celebrity pressures, and a system that failed her. For years, Amy appeared to have it all figured out. She had weight loss surgery, fulfilled her dream of becoming a mother, and married her longtime partner, Michael. To fans, it looked like the perfect happy ending. The kind, small-town Kentucky girl who once had nothing seemed to finally have the family she longed for, but behind the smiling clips, TLC aired. Her marriage was collapsing. Reality television wasn't something Michael ever wanted. Friends close to the couple said he despised the cameras constantly intruding on their home, capturing every argument, every moment of tension, and twisting them into bigger dramas. While Amy was becoming more recognizable to the public, Michael withdrew into resentment and anger. What started as love gradually turned toxic. Meanwhile, Amy fought to prove to the world that she could be a good mother, but arguments between the couple grew worse. Financial disputes heated up. Allegations about Amy's parenting surfaced, and Michael reportedly began to question her abilities as a mom. Their 2 children, Gage and Glenn, became the center of a painful custody fight. Concerns about the boys' living situation led to Child Protective Services becoming involved. People close to Amy insisted she adored her sons and did everything she could for them. But the demands of filming, the stress of a collapsing marriage, and the abuse she received online left her overwhelmed and unstable. Michael, according to reports, used the situation to his advantage, escalating the custody conflict that tore the family apart. The worst moment came when Amy was told she would not be allowed to live with her children full-time, at least not for the foreseeable future. Her face twisted in anguish as she broke down, crying that she couldn't survive without her babies. The scene, described by insiders as gut-wrenching, showed a woman utterly destroyed. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, begging for the nightmare to end. Even Michael, who stood nearby, was reportedly stunned into silence. Their relationship had become so strained that the two could hardly interact. Instead, Amy was surrounded by crew members and producers, some shaken, some uncomfortable, all witnessing pain too raw for reality television. One insider, later, admitted it didn't even feel right to hold a camera in that moment. This wasn't drama for ratings. It was human devastation unfolding in real time. And still, TLC refused to stop recording. The footage existed, captured and later screened by executives. Their decision, though, was not driven by compassion. It was driven by fear that airing it would make the network appear predatory, manipulative, and cruel. So they buried it. Executives feared the consequences of showing the footage. If the world saw Amy in such a damaged state, it would raise questions about the ethics of reality television. Would viewers turn against TLC? Would they finally realize that what was sold as entertainment was, in truth, the destruction of people's lives for profit? The risk was too high. The easiest option was to bury the moment and replace it with safer, lighter scenes. So, the edited version of Amy's life moved forward. The season was cut, rearranged, and polished to remove the darkest moments. Fans were left with only fragments of the truth. While they watched a storyline of Amy struggling but moving ahead, they never saw her lowest point, the collapse that revealed how fame, family turmoil, and constant cameras had stripped her of stability. Yet those who were present that day couldn't forget. Crew members later spoke in hushed voices about what they had witnessed. Some admitted it was the hardest scene they had ever filmed. Others felt guilty that they hadn't stopped recording. For Amy, it was a turning point she could never erase. In the months following that breakdown, her marriage to Michael completely unraveled. Custody disputes dragged on, and Amy's self-confidence as a mother was shattered. Once known for her lively humor and positive energy, she became more reserved, more guarded. Friends close to her said she carried the scars of that day long after the cameras stopped rolling. Michael's presence only deepened the tension. While Amy tried to hold her family together, he had grown distant, embittered by the show's demands. According to insiders, his dislike of production reached a boiling point. He resented how every fight was exaggerated for drama, how their private struggles became public storylines. Instead of standing by Amy, he allegedly began to use their disagreements as leverage in the custody fight, questioning her parenting abilities and pushing for more control. The children, Gage and Glenn, became the heart of the conflict. Protective services had been alerted over concerns about their living conditions. And though Amy loved her boys fiercely, the pressure of filming and online criticism left her overwhelmed. Those around her described a woman trying to do her best, while fighting against impossible odds. She was attacked for her weight, mocked for her lifestyle, and judged for her every decision. The breakdown revealed the cost of this relentless scrutiny. When Amy collapsed, sobbing that she couldn't live without her children, it showed the truth that TLC never wanted the world to see. The real human cost of turning personal struggle into entertainment. Executives reviewed the footage privately. In their boardrooms, the decision became clear. This moment was not safe for broadcast. It wasn't sympathy for Amy that motivated them, it was fear of backlash. Fear that the public would see TLC as exploitative. Fear that their profitable franchise would crumble under criticism. So the order was given: remove the breakdown from this season entirely. For Amy, however, nothing could erase what happened. Her identity as a mother had been threatened, her marriage was deteriorating, and her sense of self was in ruins. To viewers, she remained a television personality navigating weight loss and family drama, but behind the screen, she was a mother broken by forces beyond her control. By the time the footage was buried, TLC had already made their decision. Protecting their reputation mattered more than showing the truth. If audiences saw Amy's raw despair, they would no longer view the show as lighthearted reality entertainment. They would see the darker reality one, where pain was mined for profit and where the human cost was simply edited away. Fans, however, began asking questions. As whispers spread about the hidden footage, many demanded to know why it was never aired. What exactly had happened to Amy? Why had custody issues spiraled so far? And why had the network silenced the truth? These questions cut to the foundation of the show, raising doubts about whether viewers had ever seen the full story. Amy's collapse was not just about custody. It was about the crushing pressures of fame. From the beginning, 1000 LB Sisters had been built on vulnerability. The sisters' struggles with weight, health, and relationships were turned into punchlines. While fans laughed and cried with them, producers shaped their pain into entertainment. For Amy, the line between her real life and the show blurred until she could no longer separate the two. The constant attention transformed her world. What started as a hopeful journey with her sister Tammy became a spectacle. Every week, strangers judged her parenting, her appearance, and her progress. Online critics accused her of neglecting her children. Tabloids scrutinized her weight. Every aspect of her life was under a microscope. The fame that once seemed like a blessing became suffocating. Meanwhile, her marriage continued to crumble. The love she once shared with Michael was replaced by hostility, financial disputes, parenting disagreements, and the ever-present cameras fueled resentment. Those close to the couple said their relationship turned toxic. While Amy tried to stay strong, the cracks widened until the custody battle became inevitable. The moment she realized she could lose her children broke her completely. Insiders described her screams as haunting, her sobbing impossible to watch. Crew members who had followed her journey for years stood frozen, unsure how to react. Some wept with her. Others urged producers to stop filming. But the cameras rolled. On TLC executives, when reviewing the footage, didn't see a mother in agony, they saw a liability. They worried that showing such trauma would provoke outrage, accusations of exploitation, and damage to the network's image. Broadcasting it would reveal the ugly truth. Reality television isn't harmless entertainment. It's a system that thrives on suffering.